Welcome on this 11th week after Pentecost, when we think together about this week's Gospel reading and the story of the Canaanite woman. Today we have this story about a Canaanite woman whose daughter was sick, and she comes to find Jesus and presses him to heal her daughter. Now she's a Gentile. She's a despised Canaanite foreigner. And that's a really big problem for a Jew. She's part of a group rejected by Jewish people as bad people. So she had no place even approaching a Jewish rabbi. And to make matters worse, she's a woman. So how low can you go? The disciples want Jesus to just get rid of her, move her on. But she's persistent. And she keeps calling out for him to listen to her. And she kneels down and she begs him to help her. But his answer is cruel and rejecting. It's not fair to take the children's food and throw it to the dogs. Jesus' words are a shock. He's pretty much calling her a dog. They're not the kind of words we expect to hear coming out of Jesus' mouth. And our modern tolerant selves just recall in horror. But she still doesn't give up. And she comes back with a nice little pithy, clever response about dogs and tables and crumbs from the table. So she challenges Jesus' prejudice thinking and she stakes her claim for grace. Jesus suddenly sees the reality of her faith, her persistent faith. And he realises that faith's not simply the prerogative of his people, his group, the Jewish people. Even this Canaanite woman has faith. Grace is available to all who have faith. So, in an act of surprising and unexpected grace, he affirms her, this despised woman, as a beloved child of God and tells her that her daughter is healed and her faith is publicly recognised. There have been many attempts to downplay and soften Jesus' words to the woman when he seems to reject her and call her a dog. But I don't reckon a lot of those excuses pass the pub test. So what exactly is going on? Perhaps what we see in this really difficult little story is Jesus the man wrestling with his understanding of how to be the human face of God. But here too in this story, we watch his growth in understanding that there is a God preciousness in all people, Jew and Gentile alike. And we see his willingness to leave his prejudice behind when he actually recognises it. This story celebrates radical inclusion. God's love is freely available to everyone. So we have to ask ourselves, who are the Canaanites among us today? Who would we want to send away? Who do we try to send away? How do we draw the lines around who belongs and who doesn't, either to our church community or in our friendship community, social communities? Who wouldn't we welcome into our fellowship? We humans keep on drawing circles where only me and mine belong, and we think that these circles will keep us safe and keep them, those people, out, whoever they are. But the funny thing is, God keeps drawing bigger circles. God's circles aren't meant to keep anyone out. God's circles are meant to invite people in. The story of the Canaanite woman in this 15th chapter of Matthew's Gospel is a story of prejudice abandoned. It's a story that demolishes our sense of superiority. It's a story that destroys all the labels we put over people as a means to dismiss them. We have to celebrate this radical inclusion. We are all welcome at God's table, no matter who we are. God's grace is freely available to all of us. What we have to do is be welcoming to everybody as children of God. Thanks be to God.